Welcome to your first Math 122 video. We're going to be working with integers, and we're going to learn how to operate on integers, how to add and subtract them, and how to multiply and divide them. And we're also going to learn about absolute value. These are skills you're going to need as you work through the Math 122 curriculum in order to work with the order of operations and solving algebraic problems. So let's think about what the integers are first. Back in Math 99, you learned that the integers are the set of whole numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., on into positive infinity, along with the opposites, beginning with -1, -2, -3, and on into negative infinity. As you count or look from left to right, these numbers are getting bigger and bigger. If you're looking in the opposite direction, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So for instance, if I asked you which is larger, -2 or -3, since we're getting larger going in this direction, you should say -2. If I ask you which is smaller, -3 or -1, since the numbers get smaller going this way, -3 is smaller than -1. Alright, in order to learn how to add some of these numbers together, let's look at our first cue. It says when we're adding integers, if they are the same sign, then we just add those numbers and keep that same sign. So for instance, if you add a negative integer to another negative integer, the answer is going to be negative. If you add a positive to a positive, the answer is going to be positive. Let's look at some examples. Example 1, adding integers with same sign. So let's take a look at doing -5 plus -2. All I do is add 5 and 2 to get 7, and because these are both negative, it's a -7. There's another method I like to use, and it's kind of a story method. Let's pretend these are soldiers. Now the negative soldiers are all on the same team. They're all on the same side in a war. The positive integers are on the opposite side. They are the enemy of the negative integers. All the positives are on the same team. If you have two negative soldiers coming together, being added together, they don't fight, they just join together and make a total of 7 negative soldiers. If I have +5 plus +2, these guys are on the same team. Whose team are they on? They're on the positives team, and of course they make +7. So it's just a really simple rule to help you out with adding integers of the same sign. Let's do one more example. Let's do -12 plus -4. So again, these guys are on the same sign, on the same side. 12 negative soldiers, 4 more negative soldiers. They come together, they get added together, and you get a total of 16 negative soldiers. The other rule is, if they have the same sign, add them together, 12 plus 4, and keep that sign on the answer. So adding integers with the same sign is really very easy. Let's look at adding integers with opposite signs, meaning one's going to be negative and the other positive, or vice versa, a positive plus a negative. What it says here is that if they have opposite signs, subtract those two numbers and then give them the sign of the larger one. Let's see what we mean by that. So, example 2, adding integers with opposite signs. Adding integers with opposite signs. So let's look at what would happen if we add -5, and this time let's do a +2. Now it says add them together, and what we mean by that is just ignore that negative sign for a moment. Excuse me, it says subtract them. So we're going to forget about the negative sign for a moment and take the smaller number away from the larger number. So I do 5 minus 2, and I get 3. And then it says give the answer the sign of the larger number. Well, 5 is larger than 2, and let's look at its sign. It happens to be negative, so this is a -3. Now if we want to use my battle method, let's think about it this way. We have 5 negative soldiers coming across are coming together with two positive soldiers. And these guys are enemies. So they're going to kill each other off. It's going to get a little bit brutal, but two of these positive guys are going to fight two of these negative guys and kill them off. But that will still leave three negative soldiers standing because the negatives have more soldiers. So the answer, when negative 5 fights with positive 2 or adds to positive 2, is negative 3. Let's look at another example and try both methods, and you can decide which you like better. Let's do 3 plus negative 1. Alright, so using the method stated on your packet, we're going to forget about the sign on that 1 for a moment and just do 3 subtract 1. 3 subtract 1 is 2. Now, looking again at these two numbers, 3 and 1, which is larger? Well, 3 is larger, and the 3 is positive, so that means our answer is also positive. If we think about the battle method, we have 3 positive soldiers fighting 1 negative soldier. Well, these 3 positives outnumber the negatives by 2. Two of these guys are going to be left standing after one of them kills this one. So it's 2 positives left standing. Let's do one more result, one more example, and you decide which way you want to think about it. Go ahead and do negative 10 plus 7. And think about your answer for a moment. Alright, let's see what we should have gotten. If I use the method stated in your packet, I'm going to do 10 subtract 7 and get 3. But who's larger, 10 or 7? 10 is larger. What sign is on the 10? A negative. So it should be a negative 3. If you did battle, negative 10 soldiers against positive 7 soldiers, these guys outnumber these guys by 3. So that means 3 negatives will be left standing. Alright, in the next video, we'll look at subtracting integers.